Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
This is Ryan Vandendyke.
Vandendyke. There you go.
And you're from Vancouver, Canada, yes?
That's right.
Okay, let me see if I can adjust my volume. Turn you up just a little bit here.
Okay.
Did that have anything to do with it? I don't know if it did or not.
I'll try to talk louder too.
No, that's perfect actually right there.
Okay.
So, I'm in a live stream right now of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I will send you the link so you can see it. However, there's probably going to be a terrible echo unless you mute the audio on the live stream.
Okay, sure.
I figured that we could chat about the game. I literally just came across a very nice reference to Earthbound about a kid beating crows with a cracked bat.
Yes.
So very, very, very happy to see that. That definitely gave me a nice, there it is, you know?
Yeah.
So I have about 67 people watching, and I'm going to wait for their questions to come in.
Alright.
If you guys have a question for this developer, please direct it with your question being towards him specifically so that I'm not confused that you are just talking in general. Does that sound okay, comment section? Alright, can you ask the creator to add Homer Simpson to the game as DLC, please? I don't think... I mean, I'll let you handle it, but
I'll tell you, if you can get me the rights, I will put him in the game.
Right. So yeah, I was gonna say that earlier. What's your inspiration for this game?
So it kind of goes back to years and years and years ago. I had this idea just from playing, RPGs and games throughout my life that, there's always in these games like the big evil is threatening the world and, the heroes step up to save the day and all the regular people are kind of just going about their business. And I thought, well, if the world really was threatened by some cataclysmic apocalyptic evil, wouldn't everyone do what they can to pitch in? And I thought, well, what would it be like if that was the game? In this world, there were no heroes. It was just regular people, stepping up and being the heroes. So that was kind of the nugget that the game was really founded upon.
Right, and I kind of feel the same way. It's I've always wondered, like, hey man, why is everyone just chilling out while the world's going to end?
Yeah, exactly.
So, let me get you a couple more questions. How long did it take to make?
Oh, long time. So we've been working on it about 3 years now. But, it's sort of 3 years of time, but a lot of us put in tons of effort. Like myself, I put in over 4 years of work, sort of, total hours on it. So, considerable effort from a lot of people for a long period of time.
Okay, why does the vice president, they said stand behind the bush, but what I think they mean is not enter combat?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we had this idea that, when you play games with a large cast, like Suikoden, for example, your main character and the rest of the characters in the game kind of get out of balance in terms of, like, level and experience, because one character you're always using, the others you switch in. So I didn't want to have him fight, but at the same time, so I had this idea of, like, so who would be a perfect main character to lead around, but not fight? And I thought, well, a politician is perfect, right? He leads everyone around, but gets them to do his dirty work for him. So that's sort of why he doesn't fight.
That does make a lot of sense. I thought it was because he just, didn't want his face smashed.
Well, that's part of it, yeah.
Right. How did you think of all the awesome puns?
A lot of them came up very organically, just sort of exploring who the characters were, like someone like the baker. I mean, the baker is such the stereotypical baker that we just made him the most bakeriest baker we could, you know what I mean? And that sort of exploration of the character to such an extreme just created a lot of funny situations. And then also, Atlas was a big help in, refining the script and adding in the humor,
Right.
especially tailoring it for voice acting. So that helped a lot, and they were great about that. So.
Yeah, I noticed that Atlas had a big hand in this, and I was curious, why did you go with Atlas?
Well, it's funny. So I first met them in GDC 2013. So it's almost 2 years ago now. And we had brought the game to GDC to kind of show it off and let people get their hands on it. And at the time, I wasn't really looking for a publisher. I just had really loved, I love Atlas, love their games, and just thought it'd be cool to show them the game. But as we sort of talked to them, I mean, they were such a fan of it, and they just really loved the vision of it, the idea, the novelty, that they just seemed like a really good kind of partner. I mean, Atlas, they're so synonymous with RPGs that we just felt it would be a pretty cool partnership, especially, like niche, humorous RPGs, like that's right in their wheelhouse,
Right. Would you give me just one moment to check one thing? I want to make sure that things are going just right here. And... Okay. Now, go ahead, comment section, and repeat your questions. Atlas is a publishing company that makes a lot of niche games, very fun games, very kooky. Most of their games are RPG based, if you did not know that, but not all of them. And one of their more recent ones is Persona, and it was released for the 3DS, the 3DS version of Persona. And I reviewed that on my channel. You can go check it out. But they're listing their questions now, so...
Yeah, here, I'll just pick up a couple of them if you don't mind here.
Sure, yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, so Proto Toad asked, how old am I? So I'm 29 currently. Let's see. It's any idea on the cost? I presume that means like what the game is going to cost to buy, and it's $14.99, but 20% discount during the launch period, so that's across all platforms. Question, is there voice acting in the 3DS version? Yeah, all the versions of the game are essentially the same art, same music, same voice acting, same everything. So if you pick up the game on the 3DS, you'll get the exact same experience as everything else. How long was the process of getting voice actors and recording? It was actually really fast. So Atlas had experience working with a studio, and they did all the hiring of the voice actors and got them in the studio. The whole process took less than a week to get it all recorded and arranged, and then they sent me the files and I plopped them in the game. So it was really fast. I want to know the designs. Who made this nice artwork? Yeah, the artwork is done by a guy named Robin Carpenter, and I can give you his DeviantArt, I think. Let's see here. Here, do you want to maybe give me a couple questions while I'm looking up this?
Yeah, no problem. Do you have a Twitter?
I do have a Twitter. Just at Eden Industries is the company Twitter, and then COE Game, like Citizens of Earth Game, is the sort of game-specific one.
Two-part question. Which part of the developmental process was the most difficult, and which part was the most fun?
The most fun, I'd say, was just coming up with all the citizens, all of the enemies. There's so much life to them, that just come with these wacky people, like a plumber. I mean, obviously Mario's a plumber as a hero, but this is our take on a plumber as a hero, school teacher as a hero, lifeguard, homeless guy as hero. It's just that idea was really, really fun. Hardest part was porting it to all the different platforms. Because all our tech is sort of written in-house. We have our own custom engine, so getting it to work on all the platforms, that was tricky.
I had a personal question.
Sorry, I just posted in the chat. That's the art director's DeviantArt, so I'm going to check out some stuff there. And then, sorry, what was your question?
Why was this not put on the Xbox? Is there a reason why it wasn't put on the Xbox or Xbox One?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty easy reason. So we actually showed the game to Microsoft, and they thought it was pretty good. So we were talking to them about putting the game on Xbox One. And at the time, this was right around the launch of the Xbox One.
Right.
So we asked them, could we get a development kit? And they said, we don't know when we're going to be able to send development kits. Right now, they'd only sent them to their kind of AAA studios and not indies. So at the time, we were planning on platforms. We were, inking a contract with Atlas, and it was just too much of a risk to, write down in the, contractual obligation a platform that we didn't know when or if we'd be able to get development kits for.
Right. Okay, so what ended up happening? There's nothing against it. It's not that you couldn't develop for it. It's just that they didn't give you a kit to develop for it.
Yeah, or, any even timeline of when they'd be available.
Right.
It's just too much of a risk in terms of,
Okay, I understand. I was very curious of that, and when I go to review the game, I'll definitely put that in. I know a lot of people are probably like, well, why isn't it on Xbox? Does he hate Xbox or this or that? And I don't want that, you know what I mean?
No, yeah, it was, no animosity, nothing like that. It was just, it was a weird just timing thing, I guess, with their launch and the availability of hardware. So, but, next game, I'd love to be able to put it on Xbox One as well, so.
That's cool. I don't think he can stop the echo, guys. I think that has something to do with the spatial room he's in, but...
I can try to put on headphones. I'll try that. Give me a sec.
Okay. Voice decreased. People are saying that it's not loud enough on my end, but I'm not really sure if I can turn up Skype, because it's at max.
At max. Does that sound any better?
I don't think it does, but that's okay.
Alright, sorry.
No, it's not a big deal, I promise. The comment section is finicky, and they're okay. They'll be alright.
Okay.
Let's take a couple more questions here. Vice President steals $500. That's good. We have gibberish in the chat. Wonderful. What's the hardest bug you had to fix?
The hardest bug was, on every platform, there tended to be, something that was leaking memory. So,
okay, so, yeah.
Yeah, just little things like an audio, sound file was sort of leaking memory. So over time, if you play the game for like 2 hours,
right,
it would crash. And it's like, well, it was totally, random, and every platform had kind of their own unique incarnation of that, but that, again, it takes like a whole day to track down one bug in that case, so.
Right. The systems that this will be released on is the PlayStation 4, the Vita, the 3DS, and Steam.
And Wii U.
And the Wii U. Which leaves me to question, why was the PlayStation 3 left out?
I'm not sure. It never really came up. And it just, Atlas was sort of suggesting platforms to consider. They said, PS4 for sure.
Right.
I don't know. Somehow it just never came up. I mean, I guess just the thought of, that was the next big, system obviously for PlayStation, and hey, let's support that. And I don't know, supporting a kind of backwards one, it didn't come up. And to be honest, I think it probably would have been, I don't know, a bit tricky just given how many platforms you're already supporting.
Right. Do you guys have any more specific questions for you? What do you have, John?
Did he model the vice president after George W. Bush Jr.?
Did you model the vice? You heard her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the vice president, I think was modeled after a couple. Bush is definitely in there. We had a bit of, I think, sort of like Reagan, sort of swagger.
Right.
Sort of
yeah, Reagan.
We had a little bit of Nixon, and I don't know if this came out in the game, but a lot of the ads, have him doing the classic, peace kind of thing. But, it's funny because, we're all up in Canada, so in some sense, he is sort of the embodiment of our perspective on American presidents and politicians, you know what I mean?
Right. I was very curious about that.
And if you're vice president of the world, why do you start off with so little?
Yeah, if you're vice president of the world, why do you start off with so little?
Pretty much, he's sort of simultaneously simple and oblivious, and he's just sort of happy to be, where he is, and sort of the thought of, why he'd have so little, I don't think would ever even occur to him. He's just sort of happy in the moment to be
right,
who he is and popular, or, thinks he's popular,
That's cool. I'm trying to focus here. Could you please put your Twitter link in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Also, can you make Ness a character for DLC?
You know, it's funny. So I actually talked to Nintendo about that.
Right.
And, you know.
Were they like, no, not at all?
More or less. I mean, it was sort of like, well, you know, you'd have to go through Japan and get their approval. And, you know, it was pretty obvious that it wasn't going to happen. But I did ask them.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is there a boy with a hat and a bat in the game?
No. You know, we tried to stay away from things. You know, one thing I found when developing the game was that Earthbound fans are, like, extremely rabid, you know?
Yes.
So we tried to avoid things that would be, I don't know, you know, taken the wrong way. Like, you know, we weren't trying to make an Earthbound parody. We weren't trying to make an Earthbound spiritual successor, you know what I mean? So we avoided things that were, like, really obvious, you know, kind of rip-offs, if you know what I mean. Like, obviously we were inspired and stuff, but we did try to kind of play it safe where people wouldn't be like, oh, well, they're just, you know, mindlessly copying Earthbound, so.
Right, and, you know, Earthbound's probably my favorite game of all time, so that's why I see all the obscure references and the kooky humor, and it's great. It's great for me. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
This will cover quite a few of the questions, but how long does it take to beat the game all in its entirety, side quests, things like that?
So one thing that was really important for us in developing the game was we had this mantra of depth if you want it. And by that, we meant that there's a ton to do in the game, you know, upwards of 60 hours if you do everything, recruit all the citizens, all the quests, explore everything. But you don't have to do it. You know, we recognize sort of that not everyone has 60 hours to burn in a linear RPG. So,
Right.
You know, if you just want to hit the highlights, finish the game, you know, that'll take you maybe 20 hours. But there's a ton to do if you want to, and we really did that to kind of support everyone's kind of play style and, you know, sort of time restraints. So
that's cool. That's I like that in games a lot. I hate being forced into side quests because of reasons.
Yeah.
Ghostly Koopa, I don't think there would be any way for him to put Ness in the game.
Not unless it sells so well, Nintendo is just so in love with it, but yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, my God, man, Nintendo really, you know, it kills its franchises, even if they do sell well, sometimes for reasons, you know? Yeah. It's so sad. But I'm very glad that this game was made, because aside from patched Mother 3 ROM that you can get here, it's like, they're just like, oh, Americans and Earthbound, no.
Well, it's funny, you know, I mean, that was sort of one of the reasons I wanted to make it, because Nintendo kind of wasn't doing it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'll tell you, I got an interesting story for you. So, years ago, I was working for Silicon Knights, if you know them.
Yes, I do. They did one of my favorite games, Metal Gear Solid, the remake for GameCube, Twin Snakes.
Yeah. So I was working there, and the design director at the time was a guy named Henry Sturchy, and he, for a long time, he worked at Nintendo for a long time. He was like sort of, you know, designer, producer, executive producer on a ton of games.
Right.
And his first game he worked on was the North American port of Earthbound. And so he was kind of there just as a, you know, young buck. But the game was so poorly received in North America,
right,
that they like refused to have anything to do with the series from then on out. So even when, you know, they were going to make Mother 3 in Japan, you know, Nintendo of America was like, forget it, no chance.
No.
And, you know, so this is all, I mean, you know, obviously this is from, you know, his story. I don't know how much is true, but that's what he told me. So you definitely get the sense, though, that Earthbound is probably, you know, not going to really go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's up to Nintendo. So we kind of took it upon ourselves as just fans and lovers of Earthbound to do what we could.
Well, that's cool. That's very nice. And I'm glad that Nintendo doesn't try to, you know, hey, we're going to just have to sue you a lot, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I worked with Nintendo for a long time on, you know, Luigi's Mansion and Mario Strikers and that kind of stuff. So, I feel like we had a kind of a good rapport with them. So
Yeah, that's very cool, man. You got a lot of experience with that. I haven't had a lot of opportunities to speak with a lot of developers, unfortunately. I mean, honestly, I don't know what it is, but a lot of them, they just keep to themselves. And I think interacting with the community in this way just gives a very nice promotion, a good feeling that you're actually part and listening to the community, you know what I mean?
yeah, I love talking to people with the game, obviously, but I think the one thing is it's so hard. Like for this game, for the last year, I was working 100 hours a week finishing it, and when you're putting in those kind of hours, it's so hard to also be part of the community and talk to people. So
Right.
I can sort of understand that perspective of developers being sort of in isolation. It's just really hard.
Yeah, it must have killed your eyes, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which go ahead, go ahead. I'll tell you the question. Which version of the game would you say is the best?
I mean, it really comes down to your personal preference. So, like I was saying, I mean, they're all exactly the same in terms of, content and music and audio and graphics. Like, you're getting the same kind of authentic experience across every platform. But so, yeah, it just kind of comes down to, like I said, what your personal preference is. Obviously, PlayStation 4 has sort of the best performance. Obviously, the Wii U, you get sort of the gamepad. You can play on just the gamepad. You get the sort of the touch screen on the gamepad for the menus.
Right, and that's the biggest thing. I'm sure that most of the versions are almost exactly the same, but I feel that the Wii U's version probably would be a little different from the Steam because of the touch interface. Is there anything gained from the touch interface versus having to navigate the menus via traditional?
Yeah, I personally like the touch interface. I just, I find it makes menu navigation pretty fast and effortless. And actually, we put that into, the Steam, Wii U, Vita, and 3DS all have touch interface support. So,
Right.
yeah.
I know a lot of people that have computers, though, that are gaming computers, don't have touch screens, which is
Well,
it's
even
unfortunate.
just, with the mouse, you kind of get touchscreen on Steam, right? So
Right,
people don't
right.
play with the mouse, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be using controllers for Steam, and I use an Xbox controller for Steam, so that's kind of, I mean, if you really like an Xbox controller, I guess that's one way you could kind of feel like you're playing it on the Xbox, So that's nice. Developer, inspiration for the name Mount Pom Pom.
I don't even really know. It was one of the other designers on the team. He named most of the areas just because he was also building the levels. And,
Right.
So there's Mount Pom Pom and Camp Cuckoo, and I don't know. It's kind of the first name he just put down, assigned to the level, and just kind of stuck, and it's kind of funny, and that was it. Yeah, I don't know. Not much more to it than that.
That's cool. Is the energy always something different? I noticed the mom only having 2 points and the others have 3.
Yeah, so most characters have 3. Some have 2, some have more. Like the barista has 5, for example. And some of it can also be changed depending on what equipment you use. So equipment in this game is not like incremental upgrades, it's not like +2 strength, but instead they represent sort of different strategies and tactics. So
I see what you did there with the coffee girl.
yeah,
That's good. Extra energy. I get it. Very nice. Very nice. Anyone who has joined the stream recently, please post your questions about this game to the developer. He is talking right now, if you are curious. Oh my, there is a deer with a telephone on its head.
yeah, it is the telephone.
Telephone. Yes, I just saw that name. That's amazing. That's outstanding. This is outstanding work. I've got to give you kudos. I was just telling the chat before I had a call with you. I said, it's nice that when I look at the backgrounds, I don't feel like I'm going to have a seizure. Right. So it's nice that you kept that style, but you prevented, people from, shaking on the floor from playing your game.
Yeah, I tried to kind of, bridge that gap. Like, I got my wife to look at it, and she was like at first, the first kind of incarnation, and she was like, oh, that's horrible. Right. So I was like, okay, I'll try to, make it subtle and interesting, but not overwhelming.
So how big was your team on this? You said you had some help from Atlas, but, you know, for a game like Destiny, they had, you know, almost 500 people working on it. So how big was your team?
So at its peak, it was about 12, but only 2 of those were full-time. So 2 full-time, you know, half dozen part-time, and then the rest sort of outside contractors.
So you're telling me 12 people made this game?
Yes.
12 people made a better game than Alien Colonial Marines. 12 people made a glitch-free game, unlike...
Glitch-free, but we did our best.
I haven't encountered a game-breaking glitch yet.
That's good.
It's very nice. Oh, someone asked, who's your favorite recruit?
Man, there's so many that are funny. I mean, the school mascot is a pretty bizarre guy. I love him a lot. The pharmacist is really fun. He has like a very unorthodox way of fighting. He's like, so you might notice like all the citizens in the game, they're all totally unique in terms of their abilities. Like no one has generic attack.
Right.
You know, no abilities are shared. So the pharmacist, he uses a lot of like status effects and poisons and really kind of control the battle through status effects. And, you know, one thing we really wanted to do was, like, leverage all the mechanics of the game in really interesting ways. A lot of games, you know, status effects are kind of relegated to some curiosity.
Right.
But we wanted to kind of have every mechanic shine, every citizen be totally unique, so.
What is the funniest line in the game for you?
Man, funniest line in the game. Let me think about that. I'll add.
Okay. How did you come up with some of the mundane items that you get, like mud?
You know, it was a bit of a joke on, you know, in RPGs you fight, you know, enemies and you take their bones and wings and hide and things like that. And we thought, well, let's kind of, you know, go along those lines of, like, you know, get loot and stuff. But it just, a funnier way, right? Like, so you get mud and you kill the bumblebee and you get bubbles.
Right.
Just weird things like that, so.
Do the recruits have differences in the stats, or is it all across the board? You know what I mean.
Yeah, so actually, they all have different stats. And kind of the one interesting thing is whenever someone levels up, they actually get boosts to their stats based on who else is in your party.
I noticed that.
Yeah, so if you really want, you know, high HP citizens, you could keep them in the party with a brother who gives, you know, HP boost and level up. And then actually, if you go to the yoga instructor, so every citizen in the game has a unique talent, you know what I mean? So the brother orders items from Fed Ups, the conspiracy guy has his little almanac of enemies, and the yoga instructor lets you kind of trade in levels for extra stat boosts. So you can really customize your citizen's stats if you really want to get nitty-gritty with it.
That's very nice. Did you think to make this a 3D game instead of 2D with sprites and things like that?
You know, we thought of it, but then the problem becomes how do you bring like a 3D game across, you know, from PS4 down to 3DS?
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you're really pushing, you know, the quality of the game on PS4, it's, you know, I don't think it'd really be possible to make the same standard of game on the 3DS. But having this sort of high-res 2D art, we could kind of shrink down the assets on the 3DS. They still look perfect, and the game still runs its exact same experience. So I think going 2D allowed us to kind of target that huge spectrum of platforms.
That's very interesting. What do we have in the comment section? How do you keep bubbles in your inventory? I wonder. Is there any in-game explanation as to why the wildlife is aggressive?
Yes, it does come. So once you play through the game, you will find out why.
Is it because there's a weird signal going out in the circus, maybe?
Nothing quite like that, but it
no.
will be explained by the time you get to the end of the game.
Well, I'm glad I'm not going to see this game pulled and sued for infringement. Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. Did you guys take any of the enemies from the older Mother series? Like, I'm not saying something super memorable like Pokey or, one of the bosses, but did you, like, think about adding spiteful crows or, things like that, but a little bit different so they wouldn't get picked up on?
I think it was more just the style. Again, in Earthbound, you're fighting so many, mundane enemies, but become over the top instances of themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
So definitely the idea of fighting protesters in the opening scene.
Yeah.
Get a telephone with a phone strapped to his head, the bee and the bubbling of the bumblebee. I mean, so I don't think we really copied any enemy in particular, but more just the idea, the kind of style and theme that the enemies had in Earthbound.
Right, and the art style definitely shows that for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I just noticed another developer, Chris, just entered. Proc Plays in the chat there. He just said greetings. He's another designer and developer of the game. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there any way to get him in on this?
Maybe. Let's see here.
If there's not, it's okay. I understand. Oh, a giant bear with a American hat on attacked me. Honey bear.
A honey bear, yeah.
Honey bear.
I thought that it was really nice that it was a very simplistic game to understand, yet very complex in all the different things you can
Yeah,
do.
Jen says it's very nice. It's very easy to get into this game.
Yeah.
Well, I've come across so many of Atlas and different companies that they go so in depth with it, I don't know what to do first. With this,
Right.
It's very straightforward, and then it branches off to where you could, maybe do something with them later. I don't want to give too much away because I've kind of played it too, and I don't know if he's gotten to that point yet, but, you can train certain people, and the combinations are very meticulous in certain stats. It really is a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm still in awe how 12 people can outdo big budget companies.
A lot of passion and hard work, I guess.
Right. It's very funny because the reason I got this is because I approached Atlas about this. And I sent them a message and I said, "Look, man, I've got to get a review copy of this game. Like, Earthbound's my #1 game of all time ever.
Yeah.
I need this."
Right.
And they're like, "Okay, we'll send you over." And then they sent me a message and said, "Well, maybe the developer would be in contact with you." And I said, "What? Are you serious? You just made my year."
Yeah.
And, seeing a game like this so early in 2015, man, it just gives me hope for the rest of the year that it's, hopefully more developers will follow suit.
Yeah.
Oh, was the name including Earth a pun on Earthbound, or was that just a coincidence?
It was a bit of a pun. We had a big discussion of what, we're going to name the game, obviously. And
Right.
I think, once we sort of settled on Citizens of Earth, I don't know if it really informed the naming process, but certainly afterwards, we did go, oh, well, that's such a cool tie to have Earth in there. So, yeah.
What were the other names you were interested in naming this?
So, at first, kind of the idea was we're just going to call it the Vice President of the World. Just because whenever we told people about the game, we'd say, oh, you play as the Vice President of the World, and people just thought, oh, that's so funny. Even though we kind of recognized it was a bit of a mouthful for the name of the game. And then from there, we had this idea that we call it VICE, and that's like an acronym, Very Important Citizens of Earth. And then, I don't know, just from there, we thought, let's just kind of simplify, get rid of the VICE thing, and just call it Citizens of Earth. And that kind of did the trick, and you kind of had to focus on, the regular people, the citizens as the heroes, and it kind of just, once we had that, it really just fit.
Well, that sounds very funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's Vice, man. Maybe if you had called it, it would have been mixed up with the old show Vice.
Oh, yeah.
Or Vice City. That would have been funny. Let's see, what else do we have in the comments that we would like to be answered? Where is the president? There you go.
Yeah, you actually meet the president. So this is, you're in chapter 1 of the game. In chapter 2, you head to the capital city and you meet the president. So you'll find out.
Well, all right then. There you go, guys. Just don't be impatient now.
Yeah.
People, my chat, they're good people. You have to give them just a little leeway though. They get very angsty. Can you call the telephones? Do telephones have numbers? Can you call people with the telephones?
Yes, but telephones can only call other telephones. So it's a closed network.
Oh, there you go. There's the answer. Do you have any new games that you're going to be coming out with?
Yeah, so we have quite a few sort of ideas and designs and prototypes we're working on now, and we've talked to Atlas about some of them, and right now it's very much sort of the investigative kind of exploratory phase about what's feeling good and what we're going to make next. But we've got ideas, we've got plans, so for sure.
Here you go. An individual said, "Citizens of Earth, Bound by Politics should be the sequel."
That's a good name. Yeah.
Very nice. Politically correct.
That's right. Yeah.
Nice. How did you come up with the telephone?
The telephone was actually the design of another, developer in the chat here, Proc Place, or Chris is his name. I don't know, he just came up with a lot of, I think he did the Bumblebee as well. Honey Bear, I can't remember if that was mine or his, but yeah, I don't know, he just, we have this idea, as I mentioned, of sort of these enemies that were a bit weird, and I don't know, you just, you have to ask him, I guess, for the precise, inspiration, but yeah.
What's going on? Well, I'm in a crazy world. That's what's going on. There's a guy in a French fry suit.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on?
Yeah.
Should we be silly together? Yes, absolutely. Let's be silly together. Can you ask him why you buy a drink from Moonbucks on a tablet?
Oh, it's the,
It's the newest craze.
Technologically of the times, man. It's all going digital.
Let's change up the difficulty. Oh, you can change up the difficulty to get more experience.
Yep.
Oh, man. I
noticed the question, do you have to grind a lot in this game? So actually, no, we really designed it so you didn't have to grind. And actually, the feature you just found, changing difficulty, is one way that you can actually avoid the grind. You can make it as hard, as easy as you want to kind of fit your preference. And then, actually, you're right outside the school. In the school, you can put citizens in the school, and they can gain experience and levels over time. So there's a ton of ways we wanted to avoid the grind and encourage experimentation of all the citizens.
I put mom in school, and she learned some stuff, and I was like, wow.
This is horrible. I just called the French. I said, you want to join me, French fry guy? He said, nah, I'm useless. I didn't want to say it, but you do look useless.
Oh, yeah. You're talking to
Jesus Christ, man. It's so horrible. That's good, though.
I see the question again in the chat. Why isn't it for Xbox? Yeah, it was just we weren't sure. They weren't sure if they could get us dev kits in time while we were signing the contract with Atlas. So it was just didn't work out for contractual reasons and the timing. But maybe next time.
Do you think there'll ever be a port for Xbox One?
I mean, maybe, in the contract, there's sort of a provision for additional, consoles and ports and things like that. I know Microsoft used to have that thing where you couldn't release on a 360, right, if it wasn't day and date with other versions.
Right.
I don't know if they still have that, or if they're going to make an exception, but I mean that would be something we'd have to, I guess.
Yeah, I've read up on a lot of that stuff. What was there content that had to be scrapped for one reason or another, even though you wanted to include it?
There was a couple, yeah. I mean, I think we really got the vast majority of what we wanted in. I think we got in the game. The final vision of the game is very close. One thing we wanted was, I really wanted this kind of beach resort that you go to, and sort of like a hotel. And in the game, you'll find there's like this sort of executive retreat that is sort of, I guess, the evolution of that idea of sort of a tropical resort. But that was one idea that we kind of had and were passing back and forth, but never really made it in. So there was a couple, yeah.
Right. Was that possibly inspired by Summers? Maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. Again, the game is so collaborative in a lot of ways. Again, I think that was probably, Chris, the designer who, was just monkeying around with that island. Or, maybe it was me that I wanted a tropical island in the game and just sort of... So we actually do have an island in the game, Panjama Island in the game. It's sort of what that became. It just kind of lacked the hotel resort that originally we were thinking of it, so.
That's awesome. And how much will it cost? $15. How does a 12-man team make the game of the year? And make a AAA look horrible?
It's funny. I mean, like I said, even though there were 12 people, I think at its peak, really, again, most were part-time and stuff. So it really was, the odds were stacked against us, and we had almost no money. So it was a challenge, yeah.
Right.
Just a lot of hard work, a lot of passion, yeah.
I had a question. How do you develop this, and then as things move along, like you said, you've been doing this for 3 years. So yeah. 3 years ago, we didn't have the Xbox One or anything.
Right.
So how does one move, it's so hard to see, in the future and say to yourself, this is going to be on this new system, even though I don't know what the specs for it are or anything about the system.
Mm-hmm. I think the one thing I wanted to make sure was that the game was fun. You know what I mean? And I think that's the hardest thing about, it's making a fun game. And once you have a game that's fun and compelling and enjoyable, I mean, you can kind of, bend it and shape it to the requirements of a platform. You know what I mean? That's technically difficult, but I'd say much easier than making a fun, compelling experience. So, we focused first of all on making it fun, and then second of all, kind of, tailoring it where we had to make it fit on those platforms.
Right. What is your copyright policy?
In what sense? Sorry.
Do you mind if people record Let's Plays? Do you mind if people stream it?
No. Feel free. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so, but then this adds to it a little bit. Do you have issues with people using the music? Not alone, not standalone, not in other videos, but in the game itself. And I know there's not cutscenes, but is there any scenes in the game that were done by an outside company that would maybe copyright claim?
No, I mean, everything was done, like I said, sort of in-house. Nothing belongs to any other outside company. So there's no sort of copyright problems there. And yeah, I mean, in general, I'm happy with, people want to play, stream, record, let's play, if they love the music and want to do something, I'm totally on board with that. That's great. I love seeing people enjoy the game. So.
All right, you heard it, guys. You need to get on it. Why aren't you guys pre-ordering the game right now? That's a great idea. I say great ideas all the time, and I don't even realize it. Why don't you go ahead and link where to pre-order this in the chat so that people can know where they can purchase this?
Okay, I'm not even sure if the game is for pre-order, but I'll definitely put the Steam link here.
I think I may have bitten off more than I can chew with this enemy.
I already did. I died when I faced it.
But I got him down halfway. I can get him.
No, you can't.
Oh, I swear I can. Gotta use tactics.
That's right. And you can always regroup if you want to try a different strategy there.
Yeah, I really need to.
How did you get your startup capital?
The startup capital...
Oh no! We had to disconnect for a moment. I hate you, Skype, so much.
Skype, no!
Oh man, he restored his health.
Yep.
attempt to flee. And I was successful. I'm getting the F out of here. Whew. That was a rough battle. I need to go heal my guys up. I don't know if Skype's gonna connect us back here. I think we're gonna have to hold off on it. But that's okay. And we'll see if it will. Yes, I know the call was dropped, Skype. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, please attempt to get the call back. Oh, you know, the pitfalls of technology, guys. When you have nice technology, there's always going to be glitches, or bound to be glitches. It was good to see the developer has made it back in.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's alright, man. Don't worry about it. We all have issues.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I think I was just answering the question of where we got the startup capital from. Did you hear me explain that, or did it cut off?
No, that question still needs answered.
Okay, so basically, we used the revenue from our last game, Waveform. So we released that on Steam about 3 years ago. So then when we were starting up Citizens of Earth, we kind of, parlayed the revenue of that game into the startup costs of Citizens of Earth.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So you just basically just shifted funds, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Do you have a favorite idea or fetcher that didn't make it into the game?
Feature, I think. Okay,
they definitely said fetcher, but I think you're right.
One thing I really wanted to get into the game was multiplayer battles, and I did actually get it working through Steam on PC. I had to be able to fight other people in multiplayer, but we never put that into the final game. Atlas thought, and I think rightly so, that it would have been really challenging to support it across all platforms, since it adds a lot to the submission requirements to make sure there's no errors with weird disconnects and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really wanted to get it in, but maybe next time. So.
Right, yeah. Nowadays, my God, the multiplayer situation. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just, why, man? Why? Why do you guys hurt my heart so much? If you can't make it work, it won't work. Cool.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But, can you add a rare spawn of the telephone that is getting called telephone phone that when you use some... What? Come on, guys. Keep the questions succinct. We're trying not to waste this man's time.
That's my pleasure.
Right. But still,
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions for him? You know what? I'll just start saying my own questions here. Have you actually played through this yet? Yourself?
Not since we had sort of the final version, but certainly during development, I played through it a lot.
Right.
Yeah, but I haven't, sort of downloaded the final Steam version or whatever and played it, but yeah.
Okay. Do you think when you're developing the game and you're working so hard on it that you'll ever want to touch it again? Or were you happy with this?
It's sort of both. It's obviously, it's sort of, like my baby, and I'm sure all the people in the team think that, it is their baby, it's their sort of passion project. And in that sense, I think it does make us all very happy, but at the same time, you do kind of get weary, being with something for so long. You kind of do need a bit of a breather, for sure.
Yeah. Is there going to be an increase for the maximum people in the party?
So 3 is the max, and, the reason we did that was because the citizens were all purposely designed to have, strengths and weaknesses. They're all very unique. And so the idea was if you put someone in the party for their one strength, you may want to balance them out their weakness with another citizen, but then you only get one other choice. And so there's always the tension that my party isn't complete. I need someone else to do something. There's always that idea. I gotta switch someone in and try this. I never wanted you to feel like, okay, I've got my party, I've got enough people, but I don't need anyone else. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, so trying to implement a system to keep the player trying new things.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very clever. You're one clever fella.
Thank you very much. I mean, it definitely was a team effort. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not all me. And
right.
I got to work with some very talented folks, thankfully.
Right. I see. Proc Plays got his 36th citizen yesterday.
Yeah, he's playing through the game, and he's doing streaming and stuff as well. So he's.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Do you have your own YouTube, or would you guys like to promote your channels at this point in time?
Yeah, I mean, we have, a YouTube and, like, Twitch, and, like Proc Plays has his own Twitch. I have one as well, just Eat Industries. I haven't really streamed anything yet. I kind of just set it up to, I don't know, in the hopes of streaming things.
Right.
We were so busy for so long that it was hard to, like, do development and kind of community stuff, but now that the pressure's off a little bit, we're trying to do a bit more of that. And
right now you have the time, man, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to continue to make this series, or do you think this is going to be a standalone game?
I would love to. I have so many ideas for what we can do with it and where we can go with it. So, assuming it's successful and I can hopefully get Atlas on board for more, I would love to make a whole bunch more for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a touchy question or not, but it seems I don't want to be this guy because I'm not this guy. Someone else brought this up. I saw it posted several different places by different people, and they said they feel like Atlas isn't hyping this game enough. Do you feel adequate and happy with Atlas's promotion of said assets, or do you feel that maybe they should be promoting it a little bit more, or...
Well, you can never really get enough. You know what I mean? But, I like to look at it in that they're obviously doing more for the game than I could ever do on my own.
Right.
So, I kind of like to look at it kind of glass half full and say, like, because of them, we got to go to E3 and, show the game off of there. And, just a couple days ago, we were in, the Nintendo Direct video, which was very cool. We're up on the PlayStation blog either recently or in the future. I can't remember exactly when that timing is, but and we just would never be able to do that on our own. So of course, could they have done more? Sure, you can always do more, but have they done more than I could ever have done on my own? Absolutely. So.
Okay, that's a pretty solid answer. I know a lot of, like you said, a lot of fans can be very rabid about things, and there ain't no lie there. That's just... people, man. I know about people dealing with YouTube for so long.
Yep.
Is there a warning for backgrounds? Okay. Yeah. Is there any way to turn off the backgrounds in case you're going to have a epilepsy seizure?
There isn't. That's an interesting point. I'm sort of wondering if people would want to turn them off, but I thought, Earthbound, you can't turn them off. 1-3, you can't turn them off. It's sort of just a part of the presentation. If it comes up that, it's causing a lot of problems for people, I'm sure we would try to have some sort of update or patch to address it, but for the moment, we're hoping that it won't cause problems and, people just can enjoy it as part of the intended presentation.
Right. I don't think it will. I don't think anything can top that one Pokemon episode.
Yeah.
My lord, that was horrible.
Oh, I just noticed the question again in the chat. You think about what the funniest line is for you. I'm still thinking, for me, I think the opening of the game is pretty funny. Just, the mom coming and waking up her, her son, the vice president of the world, and just that exchange, I thought it's really funny. But, I don't know, Chris, if he has any, favorite line. I posted in the chat too.
Quick little quips. You guys get your questions out, man. You got a half an hour left. I don't know how long this gentleman is going to stay with us, but
I'm enjoying myself, so I'm not in any rush.
I'm up.
Got my coffee and
Yeah. Did you get some special blend?
yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to Atlas, and we were joking about making like a special blend coffee as like a promotional thing for the game, but
Oh my, yes. Please, sir.
yeah.
Yes, please.
Oh, someone said, "Who's your favorite character?" The Vice President of the World is my favorite character. He's great.
He is great. He's very silly.
He's not a recruitable character, but he is my favorite guy. So then now you've entered like the virtual reality.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where to go and what to do here, and
Okay. And, you can check your quest log in your phone menu there if you need. Some
right.
information,
Well, see, the thing is, I haven't been paying very close attention because I'm talking to the developer, so...
but, yeah.
Oh god, it's dark. No. Playtime without side quests.
If you just rush through the game, you're probably looking at 20 hours. I mean, I'm sure you could do it even less if you brought down the difficulty with the school mascot and just, tried to rush it. I'm sure you could do it even faster, so.
Well, there you go, guys. 20 hours of, I don't want to say Earthbound goodness, but steamy. How about steamy goodness?
Yeah.
Steamy goodness. What's your favorite world place in the game? Location, rather.
Let's see. I really like the desert. The music is just really, really slick, and Chris and Robin doing the art really did a great job, kind of just putting together the level. So I think that's a pretty fun area.
I see there's an ability to refight old enemies.
Yes, there is.
That's very, very nice. I really appreciate when RPGs do that because, my God, it is so annoying when you can't do that in old games.
I just noticed someone said, "Have you thought of making a Citizens of Earth mug?" I actually have a Citizens of Earth mug, so.
Oh my, he's all ready, man. He's ready to go. Were you thinking about sending out swag to people? I'm not specifically asking for myself, but I know a lot of companies, they're like, oh, we got this bag of goodies here, and you were talking about the coffee. Were you thinking about maybe, like, I don't know, making figurines, I don't know, maybe a special edition?
We've talked about it, and it's something that, I mean, obviously the idea is awesome, and we love the idea. But honestly, we had our hands full just making the game and getting that done. So that was sort of our first priority. And once the dust settles on the game's launch, maybe we can tackle a few of those other supplementary kind of things.
Did you believe that Steam would greenlight your game?
Yeah, I did. I mean, like I said, I had a game on Steam before, so we didn't go through greenlight. I just sort of emailed them and said, hey, what do you think? We have the game, and yeah, they looked at it and they thought it was pretty cool, so yeah, that went pretty well.
That's good. Nah, Day Lover said she's getting a headache. I'm sorry, Day Lover. But that's, Proto, who is your favorite character? Well, since I've only played with a couple of them, I have to say the Vice President's mine's too. I mean, he's just hilarious, man. He's like, he's a jerk, but like he doesn't do it on purpose. He's just like so oblivious.
That was actually a big part of the game. We didn't want him to be mean-spirited or a jerk, but just oblivious is the perfect word, and just innocently oblivious. Yeah.
Right. I was foiled from running. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get wrecked in this VR arena.
It's a tough battle you got here.
Yeah, I try to bite off more than I can chew all the time. Well, that's it.
Water in the pan.
No.
That's all right.
It's not really a penalty for that, really, because we really wanted to encourage like experimentation.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I leveled up. Baker's Boost. Mom and Baker's Boost. Brother and Mom Boost. That's nice. All sorts of different characters jive together very well. I've seen that put in other RPGs. I know you were talking about it earlier, but that's very, very cool. Okay. Alright, yeah, I need to go find that manager. Okay, Honey Jar Text.
Question: would you say the game is balanced? I mean, I think it is. I think it's balanced in the sense that every citizen is viable and fun. But I think I definitely went more with the idea of making every citizen unique and fun, rather than everyone has the same damage output or things like that. So it's more about experimentation, unique strategies, unique ways of playing, rather than everyone having the exact same capabilities. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I definitely do. Did at any point in time you think that you were going to do the Earthbound route where you were constrained to 4 characters instead?
I think 4 characters is sort of the original, or is you constrained like as in total in the whole game, or just at a time?
In the whole game.
Oh no, that never really came out. I mean, right from the start, we wanted basically the idea that you recruit all the world's NPCs. It was going to be a big cast.
Right. So that was from the get-go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And someone also asked, did Mom just learn the ability spanking? Yes, she did.
I love your game.
My daughter said she loves your game.
Oh, thank you so much.
Say it's Autumn approved.
Autumn approved.
Oh, good. That's the most important kind of approval.
Yeah, Daddy. Can I talk to your friend?
Sure, you can talk to him.
Hi, guy. Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. It's me, Autumn.
He made this game Daddy's playing.
So you like this game?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It
that's
says
great.
I really want to play with you.
Remember?
I'm going to say, yeah, you're going to come to, we're going to invite you, okay?
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just gonna let you come.
Did you like his deer fawn?
Yeah. I like your dear phone.
Your
Good,
phone.
good.
Remember, you saw Mommy playing it, and you're like, it's a deer. He wanted it to call you.
Oh, that was not a rug.
That was a teleportation.
I thought that was a rug.
Look, he teleported. What's gonna happen? Oh, that's his mommy. That's his mommy.
And nobody thought this was just slightly odd in a coffee house. Huh?
And friend, they're going to come to our house.
Sure.
Are we going to be expecting some
You're going to
Gygus
come to our
encounters?
house if it's night, okay? And we'll just wake up, okay?
Look, he's fighting something.
What am I fighting? Mascot Spirit.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you gotta catch Mascot Spirit.
What, in a Pokeball?
Yep. He should have totally did that.
Yeah.
You must catch it with a Pokeball.
That would have been something.
Let's go.
Oh man, I'm not doing nothing to these guys.
Is it boiling?
I'm in trouble.
So you notice that, some of the enemies have, strengths and weaknesses there. So like this, the plant guy is weak to thermal attacks, and the baker's got some thermal abilities.
Right.
So you'll really start crunching on a few, kind of match their weaknesses.
I see. The Baker's Spirit is the thing you're supposed to take on every so often. Or not the Baker's Spirit. The Mascot Spirit. He appears and disappears.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I see.
You can recruit him by defeating his spirit.
Right. Well, I better get to it then. But it's hard. It's so hard.
Did you increase the difficulty as the mascot?
I did, a little bit.
Yeah, that was... Do it.
I feel like that battle is probably like Entei and Suicune from Pokemon, where they would run about and you'd encounter them,
Yeah.
and you have to get them eventually. Should I get the PC, 3DS, or Wii U version? Why not all three?
Why not? Actually, well, I guess it's only in Europe. Anyway, in Europe, if you get either the Wii U or the 3DS version, you get like a huge discount on the other one. But only in Europe. I don't know. So.
You know, Europe has been getting a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. Are you going to make a physical release? Or...
Yeah, it's a question we get a lot, and, so it's really tricky making a physical release, especially with the number of platforms we support, just because you have to, pay for manufacturing costs up front.
Right.
So it can really start getting tricky, but, if the game does sell really well and, it's something people have a lot of demand for, I mean, it would be really cool to make sort of a limited edition, collector's kind of thing.
Oh, I can draw up some demand for you.
Okay.
But if you're not going to do it in larger quantities, were you thinking about releasing more than just a limited edition, like a real limited edition? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd really love to do, kind of the same kind of presentation that Earthbound came in. Like have the really cool player's guide.
Yeah.
Scratch and sniff.
Yeah.
Really kind of push those kind of fun collectibles.
That would be excellent to have a player's guide with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Earthbound, why are you guys missing? What's going on? Are you blind? Anyways, that ends up selling a lot. How much, food appears as enemies?
I don't think there's a lot. Later on you fight, like a living popcorn kernel kind of thing.
Oh my.
I can't think of any others off the top of my head that's food. So...
You didn't have a spilled cup of coffee as an enemy?
No.
Oh my, that spirit's back. Oh, Jesus Christ, he's gonna kick my ass.
So the brother has an ability, if you notice, where you can hit everyone in the battle.
Right.
It's good for multiple...
Yeah.
He also has an ability that does, like, multiple attacks at once. So these, kind of coffee bean dudes, they're very fast, so they can avoid a lot of attacks. But he can, the beatdown will do so many attacks in a row that even if, one or two miss, he can still hit a bunch of them.
Right. Yeah, that spirit, man, popping up, he's really raining on my parade right now.
Yeah. But if you can beat him, you get a nice reward. So.
Yeah, that's good. I always love risk versus rewards.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they turned into those monster coffee beans.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm going to beat them down anyways.
Oh, it's another question. Are there many references to other video games? There's a couple for Earthbound, and the opening scene is kind of a parody of the opening of
Chrono Trigger. I was about to say it has to be.
But I think in general it's more sort of a synthesis of all the kind of RPGs we grew up with, sort of just in general, rather than specific references to individual ones.
Right. That's cool. That's very cool. It would be cool if you made a Citizens of Earth 3D skin.
That would be cool.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't really know about skins a lot. Me personally, I don't know if a lot of people out there really like the skins. I think it'd be cool to have, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I'd just rather have a picture on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
Dev question, did you consider the Mother 3 feature of pressing A in time with the enemy's heartbeat for the game at this point?
It was something I thought of, but again, with supporting so many platforms, it becomes a bit tricky because there's some element of Mother 3 had a lot of tie into the music and the beat and that kind of stuff. Whereas if you're developing 5 different implementations of audio code, you start to get a bit tricky making sure it feels right on every platform. So
right.
I think this time it was more like, well, let's just kind of get the game out there maybe without some of that, and then once now that we've kind of got familiarity with the platforms and our engine supports it, So, it's something that we can consider next time.
Did you ever consider real-time battles in the sense of Chrono Trigger and also in the sense of certain Final Fantasy games?
I mean, we definitely had some discussion about it, but I don't know, just right from the start, there was something to me that appealing with the sort of Earthbound Dragon Quest, kind of style. I mean, obviously, that's what Earthbound did, and, a lot of JRPGs did, and I don't know, somehow it just, in my mind, that's just sort of what I pictured, and I guess for better or worse, that's what we went with.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. I gotta tell you, it feels it, it looks it, it sounds it. Oh, okay, there are some psychotic coffee robots. That's good.
Yeah.
Bean Boy. I like the frowny face. It's very nice. Very nice touches, man. I gotta tell you. I'm loving this. This is like, when I heard this was coming out, this is like the best thing I've had in a long time in games.
Oh,
There are so many. I'm not even just trying to kiss up to you. It's just there's so many bad games on the market these days. It's nice to just not be worried that when I go to play my game that there's not going to be a microtransaction, or hey, the face is melted off this person, but don't worry, we'll patch it later. And then when you go and download the patch, oh, I'm sorry, we meant the patch to only be 6 gigabytes, but it ended up being 57. So it's nice. It's nice to just play the game.
Yeah.
So, developer question: the VP as a DLC for Smash Brothers? Yes. It'd be amazing. I would play with him every time.
Yeah. I'd love to see what you could do with him as a fighter, all based on the fact that he doesn't want to get his hands dirty, doesn't want to fight.
I'm willing to bet that there are people out there who mod Melee. I'm willing to bet that if you got in contact with quite a few of those people, they would probably be able to put a mod in for him.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. I've seen some of the stuff that they do. It's
amazing.
amazing.
I kind of feel like he'd play similar to Olimar, like using Pikmin.
Yeah.
Using his citizens.
Yeah. That's great. That would be outstanding.
Yeah.
These guys are very difficult.
Yeah. They have. They're weak to something you do not have in your party at the time. Maybe they're not, but yeah, I guess like I said, you can always turn down the difficulty if you want to.
Right.
Get it back to the basics, but.
Well, I like it this way. I like a challenge a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like Dark Souls challenge. Thank you, guys. I don't care what you say, comment section. No, thank you. I'm good. But I do like a little bit of a challenge,
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like you're progressing pretty well here. You're not getting beat up, so it seems like it's going well.
I'm spilling hot coffee on me, man. It hurts. At one point in time, McDonald's got sued real bad for that.
Yes, they did.
That's terrible. Let's see here. What else? Can you go... God dang it. Okay. Can you go to Homer's Twitter and ask him for the rights? I'm sure he'll answer.
Like that's not the definitive location for rights.
What do you mean? I asked for his rights on Twitter. Doesn't this hold up in court? That's great. I'm glad you're so avident about this, but I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
You have to ask Fox and all those places.
Yeah.
And then probably it would end up, convoluting the copyrights. I'm sure if you ended up getting this, that somehow there would be a big fat Nintendo stamp on it also, and then maybe you wouldn't even have been able to use a Steam or like PlayStation 4 as a game to release, or you'd have to cut NES out of that version. So
yeah, for sure.
So it's good. What made you think of the game concept itself? I mean, I think you answered it earlier, but
basically just the idea that in so many RPGs, the world's coming to an end in some cataclysmic evil, but yet all the regular people are just going about their business like nothing's happening. and just the thought of like, well, if the world really was coming to an end, wouldn't you pitch in? Wouldn't you do what you could?
Right.
And so, just the idea of that's sort of.
I have a question. Why do people still charge you money even though the world's coming to an end?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Way to profit! Way to profit, guys.
Yeah. In a couple of days, your money's gonna be burnt to cinders, but keep on charging.
Right? No, it's not. You're gonna save us all. He's silly. We ain't gonna die. He saved us. It's the best. Someone asked, is there going to be DLC citizens possible? And I'd like to expand on that. Are there going to be DLC levels also possible?
It's something we've talked about, and we're really excited about the idea. That the trick is, because it comes out on so many platforms, we want to try to make sure we can have DLC on all the platforms, and then that becomes a issue we got to go through, because the game it's on 4 kind of consoles, right? And in North America and Europe, it's basically like 8 submissions through Sony and Nintendo, and it really starts to drag on.
Right, it adds up, huh?
Yeah, it gets really tricky. So, we'd like to. It's something we've talked about, but the logistics of it are pretty tricky.
Okay. What else do we have here? Trying to find the Pokemon lyrics. I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but I do a lot of stuff with Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon is a big inspiration for the game. Actually, when I was developing a lot of citizens and their abilities, I actually watched a lot of competitive Pokemon fights on YouTube, just to see a lot of interesting strategies people would use and that kind of stuff. So.
Right. That's very cool to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people. There's still a lot of people who consider Pokemon like a childish game, and I'm just like, it's the second most selling franchise in the entire world. I don't know.
A ton of strategy behind it if you really dive in.
Yeah. Have you ever once looked up the formula for EV training?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's crazy.
Like, what? Like, you have to be a professor to understand that. You have to sit down for a while and just look at it. Like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
It's so great. Oh, my baker's back to life, yes!
Yeah, we really wanted to put it, sort of revival.
Yeah,
And that kind of stuff.
I always hated how you had to wait forever to be able to revive somebody. It's like, my god, man, please. I made a mistake. Please. Okay, I'm going to tell Fighting Leaf to do a Let's Play of this when it comes out. Very good, kitten. You guys promote this, man. Hype it up,
Yes, please.
The more promotion you get for this, the more developers feel like they can come out and that they don't have to sit here and say, oh, well, copyright claim this and you can't LP that. And, this guy and the guy who did Shovel Knight, they're about the only 2 companies that I know right now that just don't care. You can use whatever you want. So hype it up. Promote this guy. This guy deserves it. It's not like he's not doing anything. He deserves every bit of promotion you give him. So make sure to give it to him, guys.
Yeah.
That should really save.
Is there any reason that he did not choose a female protagonist?
Oh yeah. Okay. I have to play myself here, and I'm sorry you have to pray tell to this, but okay, Mr. Developer. So why is the protagonist a male? What about our rights?
One thing we wanted to do with the game was have pretty much everyone represented as the hero, the citizen. So that, we have like as many female citizens as male, and they span every walk of life, every race and culture. You know what I mean? To really just be inclusive. But when it comes to the main character, the vice president, we knew we wanted to make him a bit of a buffoon.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just, it's really easy to make fun of white male. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can do and say almost anything you want, and it's okay. So
Well-
we wanted to poke fun at it and make fun of it, and that was just an easy scapegoat for it.
Right, and like you said, politics fits perfectly. And I feel 100% the same way. There is so much stuff going on. If you say the wrong thing, if you do the wrong thing, it's like, look, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna apologize. I'm not a sexist. I'm not a racist. But you gotta calm down, you know. But nowadays it's just like, oh no, you're wrong. You're the wrong one. And it's like, no, I got the developer word right here. He said he wanted to make a character that he could make fun of, and if he included a female protagonist that was made fun of, I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot of people that weren't happy. So there you go. Yes. I know. I understand exactly. Right, and I absolutely hate. Yeah, I'm sure Chugga Conroy's going to get on this. Absolutely, 100% sure. I would.
I love Chugga Conroy's, videos of Earthbound and all that kind of stuff. I watch them also.
Right. There's another person who does Let's Plays named Zelos, and she's doing Earthbound right now. She is dating Cows Crazy, who does LPs. And I'll see if I can't get them to play. I had a specific question. Now, don't feel obligated, but would there be any way of you to give out free copies of this game? Maybe possibly to my subscribers when I do the review? Or... So, there you go. There you go, comment section. I'm looking out for you. I don't want to be selfish or greedy or anything, but I would like to reserve 1 or 2 copies so that I could have other people. I could give it to another person and say, hey, you need to play this game. But then I would also like if maybe the comment section could possibly get maybe copies, like, maybe a contest, or maybe instead of just a contest, if you see a person comment that says, I would really like to play this game, you could take it upon yourself to send him the copy in a personal message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you guys heard it, comment section. When my review comes out on the 20th, you better be on it. You better be watching. But see, this is only 60 people. I've got, 200,000 plus people that watch on and off, so, they should have been in the stream. They should have been here.
Rally the troops. Get along.
Right? Ooh, I'm so leveled up that I can insta-kill these guys.
Oh, yeah, obviously that's one we, were inspired by from Earthbound. It was such a fun mechanic, but I never really saw any use outside of Earthbound, you know what I mean?
Yes. I absolutely love that you implemented that. I wish so many more RPGs did that.
Mm-hmm.
You have...
now you kind of turned the difficulty up, and it was hard for a while, but now it's really paying off, right?
Yes, and that's I appreciate doing that. There's just so many cool things that you put in this that I'll say to, like, this game. Like, I'll be playing Pokemon, and, I'll be like, okay, that's cool, I got my level 100 Dragonite here, and oh, look, I just happened to encounter this level 2 Caterpie. Yeah. And I'm like, can I skip this? Or I'll be playing a different game, and I'll be like, it'd be cool if I could crank up the difficulty and get something for it within the game. Mm-hmm. And it's nice, that you implement these cool features. Mm-hmm. Developer question, because these 50... Oh, man, if you've ever heard the phrase, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Developer question, because these 58 people... Because these 58 people here are so awesome, can we have free copies? Look, man, I didn't make the promise, guys. I just said maybe on the review he can give them out at his leisure, but I don't know. I don't think he has 58 free copies to give away. I don't know, man. I wasn't about to ask him for that. But it's nice that you're willing to hand them out some copies on the review. I greatly appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
Most of them are kids without.
Yeah, most of my subscriber base, a lot. I won't say every one of them, but more often than not, the subscribers that I do have, they are not privileged to be rich, if you know what I mean. So, okay, so it is now 6 o'clock. And I'm going to hand it over to Jen.
Thanks for watching my video, and please consider joining the Maverick Rebellion today. Together, my subscribers are more than just people. We are Mavericks who desire to change the gaming stereotypes and bring a better sense of community to YouTube. Individually, we can accomplish so much, but united, we can change how the world views gaming. Please consider joining our cause and subscribe today, and you'll be part of something bigger. You'll be part of an army, and part of a rebellion against injustice. Mavericks unite. I am Protomario, and I approve this message.